Now on the Sabbath, Yahushua, who they even call Jesus Christ, he would go to the synagogue and read. And he chose one Sabbath to read the book of Elijah or Isaiah. In Isaiah, he opened up the verse of chapter 61 and went to reading. Now when you go to Luke 4 and 18, it talks about the section that he read out of Isaiah chapter 61, and in verse 19 of Luke chapter 4, it says, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Now, it took that section out of the good news, because this is the good news that he was preaching, and said he was anointed to preach. This is the good news when you go to Isaiah 61. And this was the acceptable year of the Lord. But it was something else connected. When you go to Isaiah 61, it's something connected to that. Let's see here. 61 is in 61 verse 2. It say, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our God. Okay, so not only was this the good news to proclaim the liberty of the slaves, and opening up the prison of them that are bound, but when he proclaiming this liberty to these slaves, this is the acceptable year of the Lord, and at the same time it's going to be the day of vengeance of our God. And so that is a major part of the good news. Now when you jump 2 chapters over in Isaiah 63, he talks about in verse 4, he say, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeem is come. So this day is connected to the year. It's saying that it's an acceptable year, but this year is going to be all together a day of vengeance, Salakia. It's going to be a day of vengeance, but it's talking about the acceptable year of the Lord. Now, when you go to this day of vengeance, he brought it out in Proverbs. In Proverbs, he brought it out, and he described this day of vengeance in a certain way to pretty much give you the understanding of what it was all about. What's this day of vengeance is going to be all about, and it give you some more understanding on this day of vengeance. So Proverbs chapter 6, almost the last verse is in verse 34. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 34, and it reads, for jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. So we know that Yahweh is a jealous God, and He want us to have exclusive devotion to Him. And when we don't have exclusive devotion to Him, He's like a man in rage, the rage of a man. You see, and so that's why He put us into slavery. That's also a day of vengeance for us serving other gods. You see, He was enraged with us and threw our behind into slavery under these cruel masters, these cruel Edomites. But on the flip side, it's also a day of vengeance to those who had us in slavery, because we are His chosen children, and they gonna get the rage from the Most High also. Now when you go to Joel, it gives you some of the reasons why He's jealous, why He's enraged. Because when you steal people's possessions, they become enraged. Now starting at chapter 3 of Joel, verse 2, it say, I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So now they took His children, His people Israel, and they took His land. Now when you get to Joel, the 5th verse, it say, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried it into your temples, my goodly pleasant things. You see? So He's gonna have vengeance on these people. And when you look at how Proverbs said it, a man become enraged, and on the day of vengeance, He's not gonna spare you. Nobody is gonna get spared in the day of vengeance. And so when you look at how he described it, His coming in Isaiah 63, in Isaiah 63, He described how He was coming by like He was in the wine press, and His garments was full of blood, letting His enemies know and His adversaries know who stole his property and His goodly pleasant thing, that they was gonna get the vengeance, and they was gonna get His rage and His fury. Now quickly, when you go to Amos, chapter 1, He's letting you know that nobody will be spared in the day of vengeance. And when He expressed His rage on these peoples that took His belonging, nobody's getting spared. And that's how He worded it. When you go to verse 6 of chapter 1, He said, thus says the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Gaza, and of 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. You see, that's how He said it in Proverbs chapter 6. He said, chapter 6:34, for jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore He will not spare in the day of vengeance. And that's how he worded it. In verse 6 here, He say, I will not turn away the punishment of. Meaning, I'm not going to spare you. You're not getting away with this situation. When you go to verse 9, it talks about 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because you delivered the whole captivity to Edom, and remember not the brotherly covenant. So it's the same thing when how he telling them, you sold my children and took my possession. I will not turn away the punishment. I will not spare you. Verse 11. He talks to Edom. He said, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof. Because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetuously, and he kept his wrath forever. And so he's not going to spare these individuals in the day of vengeance. He's going to gather these individuals all up together and pour out his rage upon these individuals. And so that's why in verse 9 of Joel chapter 3, he say, proclaim ye this to the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. You see, because he's going to have a major war. Not only is the war going to pop off, but when you go back to this day of vengeance, this acceptable year, in verse 60, chapter 61, right in verse 5 of 61, he say, and strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of aliens shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. You see, they're gonna be serving in servitude to the children of Israel, to the slaves. You see, they not only is the slaves gonna be free, they're gonna have liberty to release them and let them out of prison. Is that these individuals who had them in prison is going to be slaves unto them. That's a part of the punishment and the vengeance. You see, he's going to put vengeance on them and put them into slavery. When you go to Isaiah 14 real quick, he let them know in Isaiah 14 real clearly. And I'm going to get to the point. In verse 1, it talks about he's yet going to choose Israel. And he talks about these strangers that's going to be joined to Israel, cleave to the house of Jacob. Verse 2 is saying, the people shall take them and bring them into their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. They shall take captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. You see, these individuals is going to who had the children of Israel in captivity, who took them out of their land, who stole God's goodly pleasant things, his silver and gold, out of his temple. All of these individuals will not be spared in the day of vengeance. They will see the rage of the Lord, and he will be stomping them like the wine press with blood on his garment. You see, that's why he say in 66:15 of Isaiah, he say the Lord will come with fire. You see, he gonna come with fire and anger, because this is the day of vengeance, and he's gonna be enraged with these people for stealing, and jealous. His jealousy is gonna be at the top level. And he said he gonna render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. That's how he coming, because these people have taken his possession, his people, his land, and his possession. They took it all into their hands, and he's not gonna spare them. He's gonna be a man of anger and jealousy, and he's gonna rip them to shreds. This one to bring out that the day of vengeance, the acceptable year of the Lord is here and it's coming fast. And it's all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide. Death to America. Death to these red dragons. Shalom.